One of my favorite rappers growing up was Proof of Detroit from the group D12. In April 2006, his life was tragically cut short in a nightclub in Detroit. Proof was immensely talented, and sadly was only able to record one solo studio album before his death. The album is called Searching for Jerry Garcia, the lead singer of the Grateful Dead, another talented artist whose life was cut short. On the cover of the album, Proof is holding a skeleton, which is a little foreshadowing, a little bone-chilling in retrospect, but this is barely scratching the surface of what we're about to get into. This is a great album. I'd recommend any hip-hop fan or music fan in general to give it a listen. It has features from 50 Cent, D12, Be Real, Method Man, Obi Trice, Nate Dogg, among others. The final track on the album is called Kurt Kobain, named after the lead singer of Nirvana, yet another musician whose life was cut short. This song is what we're going to be talking about today. It's the final track on Proof's final work. And in a twist of fate, Proof has a spoken word intro where he actually says, "This is my last letter right here. Fuck this world. Let's get the fuck out of here." And as the beat drops and the verse kicks in, he starts it by saying, "I put my soul through the ink." It's an incredible song. Still makes me emotional almost 20 years later. And depending on how I'm feeling, it can be a pretty difficult listen. Proof was going through a lot during the recording of this track, including losing his uncle. And you can really hear it in the lyrics of this song. The song samples 1974 song by Lamont Dozier, Blue Sky, Silver Bird, from the album Black Bach. Another great song. I'd recommend anyone to listen to that if you haven't heard it already. It's a very heavy and a very touching song, and you can tell it was very personal to Proof. Proof really got vulnerable on this track. One of his lyrics is, "Still living with the liquor and bud. Sometime I wish for my demise so I can kick it with Bugs." If you don't know, Bugs was an original member of D12, another artist who lost his life sadly. A common theme of this song is talking about his friends, Eminem, and the other members of D12. What they meant to him. He even says he would die for M, and I believe him. Another common theme of the song, aside from a message to his friends, was a message to his father. In the first verse, Proof raps, "I take back most of the flack. The stress smokes press me close to the crack, like my pops, the ghost of my past." In the third verse, Proof raps, "If we die to be rich, that makes me happy. On another note, shit, don't hate me, pappy. It's just that we look the same. You let the game take you. Your son came along and took the game." Proof was raised by a single mother. Sadly, his pops wasn't around. He left before Proof was born in order to pursue his own music career. I think that's what Proof meant when he said he let the game take him. All things considered, I think Proof's mother, Sharallene, did a wonderful job raising a fine young man. She sadly lost her life in 2015. Rest in peace, Pepper Holton. She did great things for her community in the name of Proof after his death. Shout out to her for that. The song Kurt Kobain was produced by Emile, a Buffalo producer, and this was thought to be his big break. He went on to work with Kanye West, Kid Cudi, among others, and still has a successful music career, even all these years later. He described this song as definitely the most special record he'd ever done and will ever do. They had spent the day driving around, listening to beats for Proof's upcoming album, and when it got to that particular beat, they just played it over and over and over again. This is maybe because of what Proof was going through with his uncle at the time, and Emile had just lost his father, and that's a very heavy, emotional type of beat that they were both really feeling at the time. Emile said, "We spent a lot of time talking about death, losing family members, my dad, and his uncle, so that was the theme. And meanwhile, this beat was playing the whole time in the car. It was a heavy day, and it made that record happen." And I think there's something to be said about this particular beat hitting Proof particularly hard. They didn't know it at the time, but that very song that was being sampled, that had hit them so hard, Blue Sky and Silver Bird by Lamont Dozier, was produced by Proof's father. What? What are the fucking odds of that? Emile says, fast forward to years later, I'm looking at the record that I sampled, and I look at the credits on the back, and it says, produced by McKinley Jackson. Talk about a moment of getting chills. My jaw hit the fucking floor. He went on to say, we had no fucking idea. This was a total coincidence. Only in hip-hop could something like this happen. Like I said, that's the most special record I've ever done and ever will do. I can't think of a bigger coincidence in music, and it's absolutely insane that the record produced by his own father hit him so hard. How is that even possible? That's just crazy, man. I'll never forget the day Proof died, man. That was one of the first celebrity deaths to really hit me. I got home from school, put on much music as I always did back then, and the first thing I heard was Proof had passed, and that fucked me up, man. I think I just ran out of my house. I was like, fuck this. I remember grabbing my basketball and just going out and playing ball just to try and clear my head. I'm not exaggerating when I said I pulled out from 50 feet and said, "This one's for you, Proof," and literally hit that shot. Proof made Steph Curry out of me. At the time, there was reports that a second man had passed, and it might have been Bizarre of D12 as well. It was just speculation. No one knew if it was Biz, but right after that, I said, "All right, this one's for you, Biz," and I bricked it, and I was like, "All right, Bizarre's still alive." Shout out to Emile for sharing this information with Complex. Shout out to Complex for publishing that. Shout out to Proof. And if you really feel this track, you can check out the song "The Woman with the Tattooed Hands" by Atmosphere. It samples the same song, and it's another great song. Shout out Lamont Dozier, and shout out McKinley Jackson for producing the original work. I recommend you all give that a listen as well. I've been a huge music fan all my life, and I can't think of a bigger coincidence in music than this, and this one has really touched me since I first found out about it. And this was one of my favorite songs before I even knew this. If y'all can think of a bigger one, please don't hesitate to share it in the comments. I would love to hear some stories like this. Thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. If you made it this far and you don't know who Proof is, do yourself a favor and please check him out. Listen to that whole album. Acquaint yourself with his music. He was an incredibly talented rapper. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate every one of you. Peace.